Hello, welcome to this workshop on nuances in computational chemistry. I am Gopalakrishnan. I am a faculty in the Department of Chemistry, DG Vaishnav College, Chennai. In this lecture, I am going to talk about Introduction to Computational Chemistry. Okay, let's get into the topic. First of all, what is computational chemistry? Computational chemistry is a set of techniques for investigating chemical problems on a computer. We can say in a simpler manner that it is interconnecting mathematics, physics, chemistry and the computer. Then, why do we need to learn computational chemistry? Some reactions are very difficult to carry out in laboratory. Some reactions are too expensive to carry out in laboratory. And some reactions, say nuclear reactions, which are very dangerous to carry out in laboratory. Even today, people are struggling in handling nuclear waste. The informations about these reactions can be obtained through computational chemistry. So without doing any experiment, you can generate informations about these reactions, and we can very easily identify in which container we can store the nuclear waste. Computational chemistry is a very powerful tool to solve many issues in research problems as well as in industrial problems. What one can do with the computational chemistry? We can compute single point energy of molecule. We can also predict the potential energy surface of the molecule. We can do geometry optimization so that we can find the stable geometry of the molecule or ground state geometry of the molecule. We can find the transition state geometry. We can also study the reaction dynamics. We can get informations about the spectra of UV visible IR and NMR. We can also carry out molecular interaction studies, very specifically docking studies. We can also find the energies of the HOMO and LUMO orbitals of the molecule, and many other properties can be computed using computational chemistry calculations. Computational chemistry has come to this level because of these two Nobel laureates, Walter Kohn and John A. Pople. They received 1998 Chemistry Nobel Prize in the field of computational chemistry. Walter Kohn, he developed the density functional theory, and John Pople, he developed computational methods in quantum chemistry. Goal of computational chemistry calculations. The ultimate goal of computational chemistry is to predict the potential energy surface of a molecule. You know very well, if you plot electronic energy versus internuclear distance, we call that diagram as potential energy diagram. Potential energy diagram is actually a two-dimensional diagram. If we plot electronic energy versus two internuclear distances, or one internuclear distance and one dihedral angle, then the three-dimensional graph or the three-dimensional picture that we obtain is called a potential energy surface. And energy in potential energy surface corresponds to a geometry of a molecule. Molecular properties can be extracted from potential energy surface. Okay, many molecular properties can be extracted from potential energy surface information. In potential energy surface, the least possible energy the geometry having least possible energy is called global minimum, and other minimums are called local minimum structures. The maximum energy that exists between two minimum structures is called a saddle point. Then, what is single point energy calculation? What is meant by that? See, electronic energy corresponds to a geometry of the molecule with a fixed set of coordinates. You know very well, if you fix all the internuclear distances and all dihedral angles, okay, then you will get a definite geometry. The electronic energy of that geometry is called a single point energy. Then what is meant by geometry optimization? It is a technique used to determine the most stable geometry of a molecule through energy minimization technique. Okay, what is meant by geometry optimizations? Here a potential energy diagram is given. Suppose if I start with this structure, say at point B, and if you do energy minimization, I will reach the lowest possible energy called the global minimum. If you start with the structure D, and if you do energy minimization, you will reach a point F. This point F is called local minimum structure. So whether we get local minimum or global minimum, that all depends upon the initial structure that we choose. So as we change the nuclear coordinates, as we change the coordinates of the molecule, it is possible to obtain either local minimum structure or global minimum structure. The structure corresponds to the global minimum is called the most stable structure of the molecule. Then, if a polyatomic molecule is given, then the total wave function of the molecule, molecular wave function, which depends on all nuclear coordinates as well as electron coordinate. If you apply Born-Open approximation, then you can separate the electronic part from the total wave function. This electronic wave function is very, very important because most of the properties we are going to get from electronic wave function. This electronic wave function of the molecule depends on these three parameters: bond distances, bond angles, and dihedral angles. Now, what is meant by basis set? The electronic wave function of the molecule, this is not molecular wave function, this is electronic wave function of the molecule. Electronic wave function of the molecule can be given using Slater determinantal wave function. You know very well, the Slater determinantal wave function can be given using the molecular orbitals of the molecule. These molecular orbitals are constructed using linear combination of atomic orbitals. So by doing linear combination of atomic orbital, we can construct molecular orbitals. Okay, using the molecular orbital, we can form Slater determinantal wave function. That Slater determinantal wave function is actually called as the electronic wave function for the molecule. So if you want to know the electronic wave function, we should start from the linear combination of atomic orbitals. So each molecular orbital wave function can be constructed using a set of atomic orbital functions. So here phi1, phi2, phi3, phi4, etc. are called atomic orbital functions. Each function is multiplied by a coefficient called molecular coefficients. These molecular coefficients are the squares, right? The square of the molecular coefficient determines how this function participate in the molecular orbital function. It gives the contribution of each atomic orbital in the molecular orbital function. The set of atomic orbital functions that we choose to find the molecular orbital function is called a basis set. Okay, so the atomic orbitals that we are going to choose for constructing an electronic wave function of the molecule play an important role, because as we change the atomic orbital functions, the electronic wave function also will change. Okay, so the choice of the basis set play an important role in electronic wave function calculation. in basis set, we divide basis set mainly into two, that is minimal basis set and the extended basis set. Slater type orbitals, STONG, these are all examples for minimal basis set. These are all are called as minimal basis set. Split valence basis set, polarized basis set, diffuse basis set, double zeta, triple zeta, quadruple zeta, okay, and we have other basis set. These are all comes under extended basis sets. Minimal basis set, double zeta basis set, split valence basis set, polarization and diffused functions. These basis sets are actually called Pople type basis set. Correlation consistent basis functions, pseudo potentials, effective core potentials, these are comes under Dunning type. I am not going to give much detail about all these things. Since it is an introductory lecture, I am just introducing the basis sets that are available, okay, for computational chemistry calculations. So what is meant by the Slater type orbitals? We know very well the scientist Slater, who developed atomic orbital functions for every atomic orbital of an atom. So we can write the atomic orbital function using the Slater determinant. Slater determinant consists of e power minus r term, e power minus r term. Because of this e power minus r term, it is very difficult to calculate 2 electron integrals. So the main problem of Slater type orbital is it is very difficult to calculate 2 electron integrals due to the presence of e power minus r term. But this difficulty can be overcome using Gaussian type orbitals. In Gaussian type orbital, we have e power minus r square term. With this e power minus r square term, it is very easy to calculate 2 electron integrals. And one more information, in Slater type orbital, see this is the wave function of the Slater type orbital. Slater type orbital has a cusp, whereas this cusp is not present in the Gaussian type function. Slater type orbitals gives the almost correct nature of the atomic orbital, whereas Gaussian type orbitals they do not gives you the actual nature of the atomic orbital. But when you take linear combination of 2 or more Gaussian type orbitals, that linear combination may behave like a Slater type orbital. So how many Gaussian type orbitals, okay, on linear combination behave like a Slater type orbital? That is represented as STONG. Okay. Then molecular properties can be calculated using different methods, and these are the 4 important flavors of methods available in computational chemistry. We have ab initio method, semi-empirical method, density functional method, and molecular mechanics method. What is ab initio method? It is actually called first principle method. Ab initio means from the beginning. Ab initio generally considered to be the most accurate but also most computationally expensive method. It is very costly and it is time consuming. Ab initio method utilizes Hartree-Fock self-consistent method, and we know very well HF-SCF method does not consider electron correlation. So the correlation energies can be calculated using Muller-Plasset perturbation method or configuration interaction methods. And the ab initio method considers all the electrons, that is valence electrons as well as the core electrons. So the calculation or the result that is obtained in ab initio method will be much good compared to other methods. And it uses correct Hamiltonian. Okay, we are not approximating anything here. In ab initio method, we are using the correct Hamiltonian, and we do computational calculation using the exact Hamiltonian of the system. Then Semi-empirical method. Semi-empirical method uses simpler Hamiltonian than the correct molecular Hamiltonian. And semi-empirical method neglects core electrons. It considers only the valence electrons. It neglects core electrons. Semi-empirical method uses parameters whose values are adjusted to fit experimental data. See, here we are using some parameters. Using that parameter, we can make the data to fit with the experimental value. Then in semi-empirical method, we have different methods: AM1, Austin model 1, parametric model 3, parametric model 6, RM1, etc. Many methods are available. So try to understand the difference. Ab initio method considers all the electrons, valence electron as well as core electrons, whereas semi-empirical method considers only the valence electrons. The core electrons are neglected, but the informations about core electrons are adjusted using parameters. And ab initio method can be applied for small molecules, whereas semi-empirical method we can use semi-empirical method for larger molecules also. Okay, larger means not protein or very large molecules. It is applicable for little larger molecules. Okay, then density functional theory. This is the most important computational chemistry calculation. Many people are often doing calculation using DFT. DFT does not attempt to calculate molecular wave function, but calculates the molecular electron probability density. Very, very important. Here in DFT, what's the basic difference between DFT and the quantum chemical calculation? See, in semi-empirical method or in ab initio method, we calculate the wave function for the molecule, and based on the wave function, we calculate the energies. Whereas here, this method does not attempt to calculate the molecular wave function. This method calculates molecular electron probability density. Okay, then here full accounting of electrons are considered. Okay, that is valence electrons as well as core electrons are considered here. And the most important information here is, see, in the case of ab initio and semi-empirical, you know very well the wave function depends on 3n coordinates. Okay, if you have n electrons, then the wave function depends on 3n coordinates, whereas the density, the electron density, that depends only on 3 coordinates, just 3 coordinates. So which makes the calculation easier, and it is a time consuming one. Okay, it's a very, very easy technique and a very, very powerful technique also, and the accuracy of the result is very good. Okay, on par with the normal quantum chemical methods, right? Then molecular mechanics method. Neglect of all the electrons. Molecular mechanics does not consider electrons. It considers only the nuclei, and it is not a quantum mechanical method. It does not use molecular Hamiltonian operator or wave function. Okay, it expresses the molecular energy in terms of force constants. Okay, for bond bending, stretching, and torsion, and other parameters. This molecular mechanics is applicable for large molecules, for proteins and for polymeric molecules, right? We can use this technique. Okay, so molecular mechanics is applicable for large molecules. So these are the some introductory idea about the methods that we are using in computational chemistry calculations. About computational chemistry softwares, we know very well, if you want to do computational chemistry calculation, okay, we need 2 important softwares. One is graphical user interface, the other one is to perform calculation. Okay, we have many graphical user interface. What is graphical user interface? Listen, you can construct a molecule, you can do addition. Okay, so we call this as a molecular editor, right? Once you create a molecule using this software, okay, then you can supply that information this information can be supplied to the calculation softwares, and we can do calculation. After the calculation, we can view the result in the graphical user interface. Okay, yeah. So for graphical user interface, we have many softwares: Spartan, Gauss View, Avogadro, Chemdra, etc., etc. And to perform calculations, we have softwares like MOPAC, Molecular Orbital Package. Then we have GAMUS, we have Gaussian, and other softwares are available. In this lecture, I have given some introductory aspects of computational chemistry. As we go along in this workshop, we are going to learn many informations about the computational chemistry calculations. I stop here. Thank you.